In this video, we're going to go over one of the best ways to go about maximizing your scale and growing your real estate business, and that is purchasing portfolios. We'll talk about what that is, strategies for success, and anything else you need to know. So let's jump right in. So doing things like purchasing property with no money, using private money, or double closing, or any other strategies where you can acquire properties without having to use a ton of cash are great. But you'll find if you're doing one house at a time, especially if you're focusing the single family home space, that it might take you longer than you want before you can really achieve scale. If you have a number of properties that you want to get to, going about it one pop at a time can seem like a crawl. And one of the best ways to put things in hyperdrive is to purchase what's called a portfolio of properties, which is when a seller is selling multiple properties as opposed to just one. A portfolio is different from a multifamily, which would have several doors under one property, and that a portfolio is multiple respective properties, each with their own respective amount of doors. It can be a single family home, a multifamily, a combination thereof, all within a given portfolio. In simple terms, it's just multiple properties being sold as one. And in terms of how you go about buying a portfolio, really the mechanics are the same as how you would approach buying a single family home. You can get traditional financing, you can use private money, some combination thereof. You can purchase them at a discount, make improvements, juice up the ARV, refinance out. Whatever the case may be, purchasing a portfolio is fundamentally the same thing in the context of what the transaction looks like as when you purchase a single family home. However, there are a few key differences and some major advantages to purchasing a portfolio. The obvious being you're purchasing more than one at a time, so you're scaling much quicker. More often than not, you can get a discount based on the amount that you're buying. Think of it as the same concept as when you go to Costco, you're buying in volume, you're getting a better price per unit. Additionally, often the sellers of portfolios are people who have been in the real estate game and have built up the portfolio over time and are now looking to retire or otherwise transition out of the game. Perhaps they no longer want to manage the properties or otherwise looking to do something else with their lives. And combined with that, they're more likely to, at that point in their lives, own the properties outright. Now, what this means is you'll have a lot of situations where people are selling portfolios where they're open to the idea of using seller financing. Now, seller financing, if you recall, is when instead of going to the bank to get financing via a loan that you would purchase properties with, you simply come to terms with the seller where they in effect act like a bank and you make monthly payments to them. So the seller gives you a price, an amount of time that you need to pay that price, a frequency that you need to pay them. So you generally would make a monthly payments. It can include an interest amount just like a bank would, or it can be for 0% interest. Those details are things that you can negotiate with the seller, but it allows you to acquire the portfolio without having to go through the arduous process of dealing with the bank, as well as without having to bring a ton of cash to the table, because you can use the rents from the property to cover the payments you make to the seller, just like you would if you were using the payments to cover your financing from a bank. A really great seller financing deal can even include no down payment. Now, a big reason why sellers would be open to this in the scenario when they're selling a portfolio is because it gives them a way to get the amount of money that they're looking for, get it consistently paid to them so they get a monthly revenue stream that they were otherwise getting from the rents from the properties. But it also allows them to capture that value without having a major tax event, which they otherwise would have if they sold them outright and got one huge lump sum for that. When you sell your properties, you have to pay the government a cut, and they're going to want their money. So by using seller financing, the seller avoids getting this massive amount of cash at once, which will be taxed very heavily, and instead they get their money over time, which helps them navigate and prevent a major tax event. in addition to getting that steady cash flow where they don't have to worry about where their income's coming from. And in that sense, it's like a retirement account for them. And because you, the buyer, don't have to go to a bank, don't have to go through any credit checks or anything of that nature, and potentially don't have to bring any cash to the table, you can deploy your resources to improve the properties, increase the rents over time, improve the overall ARV, the valuation of the properties, and then either refinance out later via traditional means at the higher ARV and cash out the equity that you've built, or just continue on the seller finance, capture the higher rents, and potentially still leverage the increased equity via a line of credit or similar strategy where you're not necessarily refinancing on everything, but you're still capturing the value of that equity so that you can redeploy it and acquire more properties. Finding portfolios is pretty straightforward. There's a lot of sites that include listings on them. Traditional sites like Zillow and Trulia and Redfin will have portfolios sometimes. There's also a site called investorlift.com that you can use, as well as sites centered around multifamily. Really though, acquiring portfolios will be powered a lot by your network. And this is why building your team is so important. It isn't just about the day-to-day running of your business. It's about the expansion of your business and finding deals, among them being deals with portfolios. So once you've got your feet wet with a few properties, you've gone through the motions, you understand the mechanics, you feel comfortable, you got your network being built out, you got your key players in place, you got your private money lenders, hard money lenders, and understand the ways to go about having conversations around seller financing. When you're ready, I strongly recommend you consider purchasing portfolios as part of your overall repertoire, because it's one of the best ways you can really scale and take advantage of some major benefits that you otherwise wouldn't have as easily in real estate. And with that, I'll see you in the next one.